New York at midnight has its own rhythm. The streets don't truly sleep, but the underground feels different, quieter, lonelier, almost forgotten. Daniel knew this well. He had taken the subway home countless times after long shifts, but something about this night felt heavier, colder. The platform was nearly deserted when he arrived. A single flickering light buzzed above the tiled wall, casting shadows that seemed to move on their own. He checked his watch. 12:17 a.m. The last train would arrive any minute. Somewhere in the distance, he could hear it rumbling through the tunnels, that familiar metallic growl echoing like thunder in a cave. When the train finally screeched to a halt, the doors slid open with a tired hiss. Daniel stepped inside, glancing down the length of the car. Only one other passenger was there. A man sitting at the far end, slouched forward, his chin nearly touching his chest. His hands rested neatly on his knees, perfectly still, as if he hadn't shifted in hours. Daniel thought nothing of it at first. People slept on the subway all the time. He chose a seat near the middle, far enough to feel alone, but not so close as to seem strange. The doors closed, and with a jolt, the train lurched back into the tunnels. Minutes passed. At the first stop, a young couple left the car, laughing softly as they disappeared into the station. The stranger at the end didn't move. His head stayed down, unmoving, almost statue-like. By the next station, more passengers trickled out. A man in a suit, a woman carrying shopping bags, even a pair of teenagers with headphones, blaring, all left one by one. Yet, no one boarded. Each time the door slid open, the platform beyond was empty, silent, waiting. Soon, Daniel realized he was alone. Alone, except for the man. He shifted in his seat, suddenly aware of how quiet it was. The hum of the train filled the space, but there was no sound of breathing, no rustle of movement, no ordinary signs of life from the figure at the end of the car. Daniel's chest tightened with unease. The train plunged into a darker tunnel, and the lights overhead flickered once, twice. For a moment, the car was swallowed in blackness. In that instant, Daniel felt it, the undeniable sensation of being watched. When the lights buzzed back on, his heart dropped. The man was no longer slouched forward. His head had lifted, and now he was staring directly at Daniel. His face was pale, almost gray, like the skin of someone who hadn't seen the sun in years. His mouth hung slightly open, lips parted as if frozen mid-breath. But it was the eyes that froze Daniel, where he sat wide, glassy, and completely unblinking. They didn't shift, they didn't waver. They locked onto him with a cold intensity that made his blood run cold. Daniel tried to look away, tried to convince himself he was imagining things. But every time he dared to glance back, the man's eyes were still there, locked, unbroken, unblinking. The train rattled deeper into the darkness. Each second felt longer than the last. Daniel's heart pounded in his ears. His palms slipped with sweat. Something about the way the man sat, the unnatural stillness of his body, the absolute absence of any sign of normal life. It wasn't right, and then it hit him, like ice water down his spine. In the 10 minutes he had been on the train, he had never once seen the man blink. Not once. Daniel swallowed hard, the air in the car suddenly suffocating, heavy. He gripped the edge of his seat, unable to look away now, trapped in that gaze. And as the train roared on into the endless black tunnel, one thought kept screaming in his mind. Something was terribly, terribly wrong. Daniel's pulse hammered against his throat. He couldn't tear his eyes away from the figure at the far end of the car. The man hadn't moved an inch, yet his stare pressed down on Daniel like a physical weight. The train screeched around a curve, its metal frame rattling violently. The lights above flickered again, sputtering like dying candles. For a fraction of a second, the world was swallowed in darkness. And then, when the light returned, the man was no longer sitting. He was standing. His head was tilted at a sickening angle, his neck bent too far to one side as if it had snapped long ago. Slowly, with jerky, unnatural steps, he began moving down the aisle. The sound of his shoes echoed against the floor tap far too loud in the hollow silence of the car. Daniel's breath hitched. He pushed back in his seat, instincts screaming at him to run, but there was nowhere to go. The doors were sealed. The windows reflected only the endless black of the tunnel rushing past. Closer. The man's body moved wrong, every joint bending just slightly out of place, as though his bones didn't align with the way a human body should. His pale face never shifted, his eyes never blinked. He just kept walking, slow and steady, his gaze locked firmly on Daniel. Daniel's hand hovered over the emergency button, but his body refused to obey. Fear pinned him to the seat like a weight. His chest heaved, shallow and frantic, as the figure drew nearer, and then salvation. With a violent screech, the train slowed. The lights flickered one last time as the brakes screamed against the rails. The doors hissed open onto the next station. Daniel didn't wait. He bolted out of the car, stumbling onto the platform. His legs nearly gave out beneath him, but he didn't stop running until he reached the far end. Only then did he look back. The train was still there, its doors still open, but the car was empty. The man was gone. Daniel stood frozen, chest heaving, staring into the lifeless windows of the car as the train pulled away. His hands trembled, his body shook. For a moment he tried to convince himself he had imagined it. Stress. Exhaustion. Hallucination. Anything but reality. But reality has a cruel way of leaving proof. When Daniel reported the incident to the station staff, the police eventually pulled the CCTV footage from that night. They expected to see the strange man. The pale face, twisted body, the unblinking eyes. But the footage told a different story. On the screen, Daniel could be seen sitting alone, his head jerking nervously from side to side, his eyes wide with terror. He could be seen bolting from his seat, sprinting out of the car as if chased by something unseen. But there was no man. The security tape showed only one passenger the entire ride. Daniel. After that night, he never set foot on the subway again. But the story spread. Some say he saw a ghost, one of the countless restless souls said to linger in the tunnels beneath the city. Others whispered that it was something else entirely, something that doesn't appear on cameras. Something that waits for the last train of the night. And if you ever find yourself alone in a subway car, long past midnight, look closely, because you may not be as alone as you think.